But now we got to get into the show with our first guest of the night. She is an actor, but like she's an actor. She sings, she dances, she can do it all, and she's been in a lot of great shows. But of course, one particular one, Ginny and Georgia, it's season 2, came out a couple of weeks ago, and has just been owning Netflix. Has just been number 1, and it's not going anywhere. Welcome to the program, Humberly González.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming back on. I think it's been about 7 months since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And, since then, well, actually, just very recently, Ginny and Georgia, season 2, it comes out. And yeah, there's so many people were waiting for this show.
I know.
And
2 years almost.
Yeah,
I know. We're sorry.
It's not your fault there was a pandemic.
It's really, it's like, we all had to stop, right? That delayed everything for sure. Yeah.
Well, what I love is that it's like, it comes out, tons of people binge it the weekend it comes out.
Yeah.
And now I like within a couple of days, I saw on Twitter, people are like, when is season 3 coming out?
I know. They're like, sorry, do we have the date out? When is it coming out? I'm like, yo, we haven't even been renewed. We need to keep the numbers up. Like the first 30 days of a show, especially on Netflix, are the most important because views matters, numbers matter. I know that so far we literally have dominated the charts. I mean, it was like 163 million views, like something wild. And so we really appreciate it. I mean, I know there's people that have seen the season over like 2, 3, 4 times already. And the love for season 2 surprisingly has just been even bigger than season 1. And it goes to show how much hard work goes into it. I mean, it's amazing to do like one hit series for one season and then another season comes out and it's even better. I mean, that's quite a milestone. I'm super proud of everyone.
Yeah, and you kind of hit on something else that like what Andrew started off with about it, like it's how everybody loves this show,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what's that been like for you? Like knowing that the fans are so rabid, they love this show so much, and like that kind of feedback, like because obviously the show like this and doing as well as it does, I got to imagine that there's some love coming your way through all the various social medias.
For sure. And, I'm so happy, especially for season 2, because the subject matter is a little darker, a little deeper. I say this to my friends. I'm like, season 1 was a really nice, you got a peach. This one is like a ripe peach. She has matured. And so people are really relating to the characters, the vulnerability. We're talking about mental health and we're talking about the relationships that we learned in season 1, and they go deeper into them. So I love that people are watching it because I know they're getting so much from it. I mean, even for me, I purposely didn't read all of the scripts for season 2 so that I would be surprised with the audience. And I was literally telling everyone, do not ruin this for me. Don't tell me how it ends. Don't tell me what happens. Because I wanted to experience it. I wanted to feel that energy that everybody felt watching it and being like, oh, no, oh my God. Like that is the feeling I got. And I was like crying and gasping and laughing. It was an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, well, I'd say so. And like what also I think that's crazy about the show is the duality of it. Because you have a show that involves like a murder mystery that's like banking back. You have like all the things that Georgia's gone through in her life, all the things she's still doing just to try to maintain order for her and her family. A lot of illegal things happening in the background. But then
sad, yeah,
but then from Ginny's side, you're getting a very authentic high school experience, which I think is what a lot of young viewers are really tapping into.
Yeah, it makes them not feel as alone.
Yeah.
It's like you go through heartbreak, you go through wanting to be a part of a friend group, learning about yourself, hurting and struggling internally and not knowing how to share that. I mean, I think that's a global issue. And I think it's interesting how our suffering can really bring us together to connect over it. And maybe that's the first step to healing.
Yeah. And with Sophie, of course, at the end of the first season, there was the big breakup. And
she's going through it too.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Sophie just doesn't know.
That's what I was going to say.
Either she wants to do the right thing, and sometimes the right thing also hurts her and other people. And she's she's going through it. She's also confused and trying to just like navigate that.
Yeah, I love how you just jumped on the defensive because I'm on Sophie's side because it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we're seeing this all from Max's perspective here. We
For
haven't
sure.
seen, we only get to see Sophie in the moments that she interacts with Max.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going. It's obvious that Sophie's trying to find herself and find exactly what she's looking for in this world.
Yeah, I mean, that breakup was hard, and like, who is that honest with someone after they feel something and they're like, I need to fix this, or I need to end this because I don't want to lead her on, or I don't want to hurt her in a future. It doesn't mean that, you know, my love for someone just like goes away. I think she was just trying to like do the right thing, and that may be from like how she grew up, her family, like who knows. We like Sophie still has so much to uncover there, and it's true, there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, I was, you know, behind the scenes, like, because you guys seem like, you know, such a tight cast, you know, like I was wondering, like, what's it like, you know, getting to come back after all this long time, you know, and like getting to reconnect and jump back into this world again.
Not gonna lie, season 2 was so different, and it was a lot more difficult because when we filmed season 1, COVID wasn't a thing. We finished filming at the end of 2019, and you know, like it was like, wow, we had everything. We had the freedom to hang out, to go out to karaoke and dinners and go partying and celebrate each other's birthdays. Whereas this season we had to film through a pandemic. And it's funny that we post videos and everyone in the comments is like, why are you wearing masks? And I was like, remember the pandemic? Like, that's a thing. And to keep us safe and on schedule, we have to take precautions. We get tested several times a week. Sometimes they tell us to stay home, or they're paying us to stay at a hotel so that we do not have contact with people outside of our bubble. And so we didn't get to have the same kind of freedom. Like you don't get to socialize on set. We had to be like separated, and we all wear masks. And it's like, it was very different because you really wanted to connect and bond over the fact that season 1 was such a success and we wanted to see each other, but we didn't get that. And so it was different, and it kind of matches like the more solemn, like heartbreaking vibe of season 2, that everyone's just like falling apart. And so we did get to see each other, of course, and we had like safe meetups and things like that, but we didn't have as much freedom with that. So
yeah, so the isolation you see on the screen, that's real. That's real.
You really, really feel it for sure. And especially those leads that are there every day. I mean, they got it the worst, because it was like, you cannot leave your home. You can't go to restaurants. You can't go to public spaces. And I don't know if audiences are aware of that. I mean, filming a show through a pandemic it's like a miracle, because if anybody gets COVID, you have to shut down for 2 weeks. Or like, what if that person infects the rest of the people? I mean, we have like zones and everyone's like far away, and it's definitely something we had to get used to the past few years being on set.
Yeah, totally. And I so many productions have had to come up with their own ways of handling things, with their protocols and different ways they handle it, and different types of masks and everything. I will say, because of that, you get to see a lot of set photos from different shows and see how each one is handling it. I gotta say, the face shields that they had for the movie Slumberland look awesome.
Yeah, and we had those for Ginny Georgia too. And then sometimes you double up, you wear a mask and a shield, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, all of these, like, some people wear goggles, like there were some shields. Like there was a point where Jason Momoa literally had one where you hold with your hand and you just hold it in front of your face. And I was like, you know, at this point, is that really doing anything? I'm not too sure, but you know, we were all trying to find like the best way to be comfortable and safe at the same time. And so we come up with like different ways to try to make that happen.
Yeah, I gotta imagine how hard that is. And like, you know, over that period of time, we've heard other people talk about it as well, you know, like how, like, to your point about how difficult it is to do this job, you know, when you guys as actors and performers and crew are so used to being in such close contact with each other, that
the
it
social
really
aspect of it is like, that was hard to not be able to see people's faces. And then you're like, wait, do I know that person? Who is that person? Like, without seeing half of someone's face, I was like, I don't recognize them. And then it's like this weird thing of like, on set, everybody tends to like know each other so well, but because they keep you so separate, it's almost this like you're entering this like strange world. It's like post-apocalyptic. Like, yeah, it definitely had that sense. And I really miss that. I'm like not being able to like hang out with the crew or go to like craft services and like chat it up, you know. They were always like watching us and being like, distance, don't touch each other, don't hug. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, the
Did
COVID
you-
protocol officers, man. Jeez.
You mentioned the masks. There was a weird thing. I don't know if you went through this or not, but as you mentioned, like not recognizing people because
Yeah.
half their face was covered. What was weird was as we came out of it and all the protocols began to kind of ease off, I began to notice that I was not recognizing people without the masks on. I became so
oh my
used
gosh, you're like, my brain got used to it, and now it's
like
like,
I just like
whoa,
I'm used
you
to
look so
this look.
different.
And you take the, you're like, oh, you have a mouth and cheeks and a chin. Like it was very weird. It was very weird.
Then like it was shocking to see the aftermath of that, and you're like, oh, I'm not used to seeing people's mouths now, and
Yeah, and some
Yeah.
people, you take the mask away and it's like, oh my God, you don't have a chin. You're
Not
just
after-
all
not-
neck. That's it.
Not after being at home for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, man. But of course, you haven't been at home for 2 years. No, in fact, this past fall, you got to go shoot your first horror film in Serbia.
that was really fun. It was like my first like studio picture lead. I've done like some horror here in Canada, but this was definitely like a big scale horror movie with screen gems. Like it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be released in movie theaters worldwide. Obviously, we don't have a trailer or a release date yet, but we hope that it'll be around Halloween. And I'm so excited. That was an incredible experience. I mean, you would never think to go as a tourist like to Serbia. Some people thought it was Siberia, and I was like, no, it's Serbia. It's like really close to Croatia and Greece. Like it's actually stunning, and they had great weather, great food. I mean, it was like a paid vacation, and I got to do what I loved, made incredible friendships. I was challenged in the work. Like I grew so much from that experience.
Now, you being such a big horror fan,
Yes.
seen a ton of horror films. Were you like watching Spencer Cohen direct and be like, oh, I see the technique you're using? Or were you like, I've never seen that on a horror film before?
Ooh, you know what? Like, I know that both Anna and Spencer have such an eye. I remember, like, I've seen a few of the movies they've been a part of, and I was like, oof, these people are freaking talented. And then Blink, that was like the short that they did that was through the Screen Gems Lab. And I, even just watching that, I was like, I see that. They love really, like, they're true horror fanatics as well. So they're really bringing their creativity to this project. That's all I'll say for now, but it was definitely a great experience to have two directors, and they worked really well together. And so I think they drew out the best work out of all of us.
It's awesome. I wish you could talk more about it because I am so fascinated by what you just mentioned.
Soon we get to have another interview, maybe when the trailer comes out, and you'll be like, okay, let's dissect this.
There we go.
But I know it's
there's
going to
a
be
good
scary.
chance.
For sure it's going to be scary.
There's a good chance we'll bug you for another interview. Any opportunity we can interview, we'll do it. Definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Now, of course, this past fall, back in November, Slumberland came out, starring
Yes.
Jason Momoa, and you had the big scene as Grecilia, the salsa queen,
Yeah.
and It's That Dream. And just watching that was like pretty freaking magical. And I know that, of course, the CGI dancers weren't there, but like, what was it like shooting in the big ballroom? That whole
The big ballroom was beautiful though. And I remember them reminding us like, hey, this place is going to be filled with people. There's going to be dancers all over you. And it's just literally like me, Marlo, and Jason, like, okay, cool. But you know, like putting the dance together was also a great experience. Like Jason and I had a few rehearsals to learn that. And then having, you know, the costumes on top of that, him having his costume, very different. So we really had to get our sense of that. But when they blasted the music and it went, like I had chills all over my body. And I was like, this is a moment for young Humberly being like, we made it. Like to be able to dance salsa and speak Spanish for a film with Jason Momoa. I was like, this is amazing. Like I could die happy now. This was such a highlight. And I got to show off like a talent that I love. You know, I learned salsa from my dad, and it's so rooted in who I am and where I grew up in Venezuela. So I was just like, it was a proud Latina moment for sure.
Yeah, you definitely brought it. And watching that, I was like, that's a pretty damn good dream. Like,
Yeah.
it made me think.
Thank you. And she's
Yeah.
literally, they were like, repression, am I right?
So,
Yeah.
okay. Is there a, like, what's the most interesting dream you've had that you feel comfortable with talking about on the air?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I dream often and I remember a lot of my dreams. But recently I dreamt that I was on a pirate ship and with a bunch of my friends, but somehow the pirate ship became a puzzle, like an escape room, and we had to put all the pieces back together. Failed. Some of us drowned, some of us had to swim to shore. I survived, swam to shore, and it was like this beautiful sunset. And I was telling people I was trying to get to Bucharest. Don't ask me why, but it was so real. And I was like, what? It was like a horror movie mixed with like survival. And that was one of the most recent ones that I was like, I just remember that sunset so beautiful. And I was like drinking champagne after this chaotic thing happened. But I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to get to Bucharest, like of all places. And I woke up being like, what the heck was that?
Well, after a chaotic puzzle boat crash, you want to relax. You want to, kick back, have some champagne. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, that's why I love dreams, because they are so batshit crazy half the time. Like you wake up and you're like going, what is wrong with me? It's like, because
you try to dissect it, you go online and you're like, I was on a ship, it sank, everyone died. What does this mean? Is my life falling apart? Oh,
and
gosh,
why and what does Bucharest mean in all of this?
I have no idea. I've ever even said that word in my life. I haven't even said that place. I'm like, is it a real place? It is a real place. Bucharest? Like what?
Yeah, so you just watch. I bet you any money you're gonna book a gig that'll take you to Bucharest.
There you go. Oh my gosh. Then we're gonna talk about this. Be like, I said it in an interview, guys. I manifested this.
There you go. There you go.
Oh man.
Oh, of course. So Humberly, you're on the Cameo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've noticed, like I've checked out some of your Cameo videos, and like a lot of people on Cameo, it's like very much like, just send me what you want me to say and I'll say it. But with yours, it seems like it's like you have like a nice sit down conversation. It's one-sided, of course, but it's like it feels very much like, wow, whoever's getting the Cameo is really getting their money's worth. They're getting the very authentic Humberly.
Totally. Most of them are like really long pep talks. I actually did one yesterday. It was like 5 minutes long. And at the end of it, I was like, I just talked for a long time. I hope you enjoyed these 5 minutes of everything that's on my mind. But I just really want people to know that like, it isn't just to like pay someone to say something. Like, I really want to connect with the person and I want to make them feel like seen and loved. And like, if they're ever having a stressful day, like they can go back to that video and smile or like brighten their day or be reminded of who they are or that they can keep going. At least that's what I would want to hear if it was someone that I look up to and I felt inspired by and I wanted to like hear some reassuring words. So that's the reason I'm on it. And a lot of the time that money I'll like donate or do something else with it. But it's like it's such a great way to connect with fans and like make their day. Like sometimes they really just like seeing that it kind of it shows you that they're real people. And I'm like truly the most regular person. And even when I reply to things, people are like, oh my God, you replied, you're real. And I'm like, totally. Like we could probably be friends. Like that's how I want people to feel like a lot of the time.
See, that's so much cooler than like the other cameos that you see. Like, I like that you're doing it kind of like more like on that personal level, that that pep topic kind of way. Like that's very cool. Because like I see some of these ones and it's almost like a Visa commercial the way that they're done.
Yeah, it's like,
you're like,
hello, Timmy. It's your birthday.
My name? I'm really.
Now, if Sophie Sanchez was to request a cameo, what would you say to Sophie?
Oh my goodness. Wow. I would go along the lines of you don't always need to do the right thing. I think it's better to really feel out how like your emotions and allow yourself to fail and to not just be like maybe like the word perfection comes to mind. I know that Sophie is a bit more of an introvert and she says a line that she's like she doesn't often feel herself around her friends. So I would push her to try to find out who she really is and that she doesn't need validation from people who don't see her. it's better to be alone than in bad company. And I would tell her, like, she doesn't need to live her life for anybody else but herself. And maybe that'll lead her closer to like her feelings rather than thinking with her head. Yeah.
There you go. Well, I hope if there's a season 3 that Sophie takes your advice. Definitely.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, all right. Well, Humberly, it's been great talking to you as always. And whatever next project you come down the pike, I'm going to be asking to talk to you about it. So.
Absolutely. Amazing. I can't wait. There's some exciting stuff coming that I can't talk about yet, but we will.
We will. Perfect. All right.
Yes.
Well, you have yourself
Awesome.
a great night, Humberly.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye,
Emily.
guys.
Bye.